I talked my mom into moving out to California. And when I didn't talk her into it. I think it was perfect timing for her and for me. And we packed up our Prius and all of our stuff, which wasn't a lot. I come from a very simple upbringing. And my mom was a travel nurse. She cashed in her retirement for us to move out here. And I always ask her now, I'm like, how did you do that? Like, that's kind of insane. And I'm sure she has her personal reasons too, but she was like, I kind of just had this feeling it was going to work out for you. That also makes me cry. And I also think it's really funny because if it hadn't have worked out, I'd be screwed because I didn't graduate high school. I wouldn't know where I belonged. Like, I thank my lucky stars that it did work out because life would look a lot different, I'm sure. And then, so we moved to LA planning to stay for 3 months at 15 and I never left. And I've been here almost 20 years. And now I guess it's a good segue into what I meant by a way out. And I guess what I mean by that is I never felt, I knew that life there was not, I didn't feel like home. I never knew where I fit in. I love my family so much, but I always felt like the black sheep of the family. I just felt different, even as a little kid. And it's no wonder that I got into acting because I was always in my imagination. Like my coping mechanism was like dreamland in my head and like fantasizing about what my future would look like. Well, if you believe in the power of manifestation, my future looked like this. Like little Lucy kind of created this whole life for myself. And I just knew I wanted something different.
You know, you used the word coping mechanism.
Yes.
I'm really compelled by that.
Okay.
Because I sat with Maisie Williams.
That was another reason why I really wanted to do this because I thought that episode in particular was so powerful, really moving.
Yeah, I got chills then just thinking about it because. And as you were speaking, there was a lot of like through lines and similarities as to what you were saying. Like Maisie really kind of lost her identity because she was a very young actress and she became, but also she was, in her own words, using acting as a way to escape, which is almost what I heard from you there.
Yes, I didn't realize it. I realize now that my job completely was and has been at times a huge Band-Aid for a lot of issues in my life because I have like very addictive tendencies and a very addictive personality, and work, like a lot of people, can be such an amazing distraction, and we get away with it because you're productive, you make money, people like you. It's not like a negative addictive behavior, but it's so easy to not heal or not focus on what's going on when you're constantly busy. And that's why after an experience like Pretty Little Liars, why everything kind of just like, you know, because we did that show we did 170 something episodes. That was like 8 years of my life in between 20 and 28 years old. I don't feel like I emotionally developed I don't know what normal is, but I feel like I missed out on some normal experiences. And so it wasn't until that period of my life afterwards where I realized how I was contributing to my own suffering. And I didn't even realize the magnitude of it until I was outside of something like that show.
In hindsight, when you look back on your younger years, you talked about your parents separating. What impact did that have on you in hindsight, in your view?
You know, I often think about this because I think it was 100% the best decision for everyone. And you know, you hear about so many people staying together for the kids. Oh my fucking no. I'm so glad that my parents separated because it was the best thing for everyone. And
why?
It wasn't a happy marriage. I don't think, you know, and I want to respect both of my parents and not speak up really on that. But I do think that it may have been a little toxic at times. And, you know, I was 4, my sister was 6, and it allowed for a little more peace and calmness. And both of my parents are now remarried to wonderful people, and it all worked out. But I think I was raised by a single mom for a lot of my childhood. She was remarried for a little bit, but my dad is now back in my life, and he's given me so many lessons. I mean, I think that anything that's traumatic or painful, like I sort of just use that as ammunition to move forward. I'm like, what is this trying to teach me? What has this given me? Because we can look at any experience and say, and play victim. And I think it's okay to be the victim when you're younger, like you're a teenager, your 20s, it's kind of okay to do that and part of life. But I think at some point you have to take ownership of your life. That's why I feel like so many people are miserable, because you're in victim mode. I don't ever want to be a victim of my life or my circumstances, ever. I want to be the happiest I can be and learn the most I can possibly learn about myself. And sometimes that means Jesus Christ, sorry. You have to go to a dark place sometimes to like get to that point. Ooh. Thank you. I'm a crybaby. Yeah, that's fine. I don't even remember. Thanks. These remind me of like McDonald's napkins, which makes me happy. I love McDonald's.
It's expensive building this set. We've run a budget.
I love it. I don't even know what I was saying, but
sometimes you have to go to a dark place.
What was I saying before? Sometimes I go in a trance and I just talk and don't even remember what I was talking about. Just talking about my parents' divorce. Yeah, I think it's so easy to look at these experiences and feel sorry for yourself. But life is so much more interesting and freeing and liberating when you look at things that have happened to you when you're a child and say, what beautiful lesson did I get out of that? And if we're just taking my parents' divorce as an example, the biggest lesson I learned from that is, what kind of love do I want in my life? What am I going to stand for or not stand for?